Ever feel like you lost your creativity somewhere between deadlines, doubt, and daily life? You're not alone. And what if creativity isn't a rare gift, but a natural state? One we all have, but many have lost touch with. What if the most important part of your creativity isn't talent, but permission? Here are 39 transformative lessons from The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. Lessons to help you reconnect with your creative core, reclaim your voice, and make space for the art that's waiting to be made through you. 1. Creativity is a birthright, not a luxury. We often think creativity belongs to the talented few, but it's part of being human. You were born to create, whether that's painting, writing, cooking, or building. Your art doesn't need permission, just practice. 2. Morning pages, clear the mental clutter. 3 pages, every morning, longhand. Not for beauty, but for clarity. Morning pages sweep out fear, self-doubt, and noise, making space for ideas to breathe and truth to rise. 3. Perfectionism is fear in disguise. Perfection doesn't improve art, it prevents it. Waiting to be flawless means never beginning. Your job is to show up, not to control the outcome. 4. The critic in your head isn't the truth. That voice saying you're not good enough? It's not wisdom, it's resistance. Learn to hear it, name it, and keep creating anyway. That's how you win. Not all feedback is truth. Learn to separate projection from guidance. Some criticism is insight, some is fear in disguise. 5. Creativity needs safety to emerge. The creative self is childlike, curious, fragile, wild. It won't come out if you keep shaming or rushing it. Make your inner world a soft place to land. 6. Art flourishes in small steps. You don't need a masterpiece today. Just the next sentence, the next brushstroke, the next idea. Momentum comes from moving, not waiting. One small action, done often, builds momentum. Don't underestimate the power of tiny moves done with intention. 7. Synchronicity starts when you commit. The moment you say yes to your creativity, the world seems to say yes back. Serendipity, ideas, and people begin to find you, but only after you act. 8. Artist dates are sacred. Weekly solo adventures refill your creative well. No work, no pressure, just play. When you romance your mind, inspiration shows up uninvited. It's not a luxury, it's creative maintenance. 9. Creativity is spiritual, not just skillful. You're not making things alone, you're co-creating. Whether you call it flow, source, or intuition, great art often feels like receiving, not just effort. 10. Blocked creativity often masks deeper wounds. If you feel stuck, ask, what are you afraid will happen if you succeed? Sometimes we block ourselves to stay safe from visibility, judgment, or change. No experience is wasted. What you've lived, even the pain, holds material your art can transform. You're not starting from scratch, you're starting from richness. 11. Jealousy is a creative compass. When you feel envy, don't shame it, study it. What does that person's success awaken in you? Jealousy points toward your own unlived potential. Let jealousy guide you, not shame you. It's a flashlight aimed at your hidden desires. 12. Creativity thrives on curiosity, not pressure. Ask, what if? Instead of, is this good enough? Play, explore, tinker, that's where ideas grow. Pressure kills the spark before it forms. 13. Your art doesn't need to be seen to be valid. You can create just for you. Creativity is an act of self-connection first. Public validation is optional and often comes later. You don't have to sell it to make it matter. Art can be medicine, not marketing. 14. Recovering your creativity is a grieving process. You may mourn lost time, dismissed dreams, or the part of you that gave up. That's okay. Grief is part of return. Often, what blocked your creativity wasn't laziness, but protection from rejection, ridicule, or silence. Healing begins when you grieve not just what was lost, but why it was hidden. 15. Resistance increases before the breakthrough. The moment you're closest to creative freedom is often when you'll feel the strongest urge to quit. Don't. That's the threshold. 16. Creativity is cyclic, not linear. Some days flow, others don't. That's not failure, it's rhythm. Trust the process. Dry spells often precede fresh ideas. 17. Be willing to make bad art. Fear of failure blocks more art than failure itself. Let it be messy, let it be rough. Action generates clarity. Creativity isn't a mood, it's a muscle, strengthened through motion. 18. Creativity needs play, not pressure. Deadlines don't spark genius, curiosity does. Play disarms the critic and wakes up the muse. Laughter, randomness, even silliness are creative fuel. When art feels heavy, mischief might be the medicine. Discovery, not perfection, is where ideas come alive. Remember, you were creative before you were productive. Return to that childlike wonder, not to be useful, but to feel alive. 19. Protect your creative space. You don't need a perfect studio, just a boundary. A room, a table, even a time slot that says, "This is where I meet myself and create." Dreams need boundaries too, not to limit them, but to support them. Structure is how ideas find form. 20. Recovering creativity changes your life, not just your art. As you reclaim your voice, you start choosing differently in relationships, in work, in what you allow. Creativity rewires how you live. 21. Toxic people kill creative momentum. Avoid the crazy makers, the ones who drain your time, seed self-doubt, or mock your dreams. Energy leaks are creative theft. Sometimes the person draining your creative energy is you. Especially when you take responsibility for everyone else's needs before your own. Over-responsibility is a common mask for blocked creativity. 22. Celebrate progress, not perfection. Finished a page? Showed up this week? That counts. Creativity compounds. Celebrate showing up. It's the most important part. 23. The creative path is a spiral, not a straight line. You'll revisit fears, blocks, and doubts, but from a new level each time. Growth repeats, but it never stands still. 24. Art is an act of listening. To your intuition, your desires, your inner child. The more you listen inward, the more original your expression becomes. The more truth you bring to your work, the more alive it becomes. Creativity isn't about polish, it's about presence. 25. Trust comes from consistency. You don't need faith at the start, just practice. Trust in your creativity builds every time you show up despite the doubt. 26. Creativity thrives on permission. Give yourself permission to rest, to change direction, to write badly, to explore. Every time you say yes to yourself, you unlock more freedom. You don't need endless hours. Sometimes, 15 minutes of honest permission beats a perfect schedule. Rest is not avoidance, it's creative compost. Give yourself permission to pause without guilt. That's part of the work, too. 27. You are not too late. Many begin again at 30, 50, 70. Creativity has no expiration date. The muse meets you where you are, not where you should have been. 28. Art is how we return to ourselves. In a world full of noise and expectation, art is your way back to truth. What you create reflects what matters most to you. In the act of creating, you remember parts of yourself that the world made you forget. That's why the art matters, even if no one sees it. 29. Doubt means you care. Feeling uncertain isn't a flaw, it's a sign of investment. But don't let doubt decide your action. Let commitment lead instead. Sometimes we fear that thriving means leaving others behind. But your success doesn't diminish anyone else. It expands what's possible. 30. You are both the artist and the art. The more you create, the more you become. The artist's path isn't about output. It's about becoming fully alive, awake, and expressed. 31. You're allowed to outgrow old dreams. Changing your mind is part of evolving. The dreams that once fit you may no longer reflect who you are now. Let new inspiration replace outdated goals, not out of failure, but because you've grown. Creativity flourishes when you give yourself permission to pivot. 32. Unfinished doesn't mean unworthy. Abandoned work still holds wisdom. Sometimes we walk away from creative projects not because they were bad, but because we weren't yet ready. Return gently. You don't have to finish everything, but visiting them again might show you how far you've come, or reveal gold you couldn't see before. 33. Comparison is a creativity killer. Your path can't be measured by someone else's map. What inspires someone else may distract or discourage you. Focus on progress, not parallel lives. Your creative timeline is sacred, and it's unfolding exactly as it needs to. 34. Creating in secret starves your confidence. Art needs daylight. Even unfinished, imperfect work deserves to breathe. Keeping your creativity hidden might feel safe, but over time, it erodes your self-trust. When you always wait until something feels ready, you deny yourself the very moments that build readiness. Growth doesn't begin after the perfect piece is complete. It begins when you let yourself be seen in the process. Sharing your work, especially when it still feels fragile, is how confidence is born. Not because others validate it, but because you showed up with your truth and let it live in the open. 35. Creativity is devotion, not discipline. Devotion looks like showing up gently, lighting the candle, opening the notebook, taking the walk. Not to force brilliance, but to be present for it. It's a quiet agreement with your creative self. I'll be here, even when nothing flows. That steady presence builds trust, not in the work itself, but in your ability to stay connected, no matter what comes. Discipline demands outcomes. Devotion honors the practice. When you create from devotion, you're not chasing results. You're returning to a space that welcomes inspiration, even when it hasn't yet arrived. 36. You are allowed to want what you want. So many of us censor what we long for, fearing judgment, impracticality, or ego. But creative longing is sacred data. The more honestly you name your desires, the more aligned your creative path becomes. You don't need to justify why a project excites you. Wanting is reason enough. Your joy knows things your logic hasn't caught up to yet, so let it lead. Desire is not selfish, it's your creative GPS. 37. You have to create badly to create it all. If you wait to be good, you'll never begin. Most great art starts out awkward, unfinished, unremarkable. But quantity is your friend. The more you make, the more truth you uncover. Let yourself write what doesn't make sense yet. Let yourself paint what feels clumsy. The magic doesn't come from control, it comes from movement. Let messy be your method, and watch momentum do the rest. Perfectionism kills progress. 38. Creativity is not a talent, it's a spiritual practice. You don't earn it, you reconnect with it. Creativity isn't about impressing, but attuning. It's listening beyond logic, meeting something deeper than thought. When you treat it as a sacred rhythm, not a performance. You stop waiting for permission and start trusting your own presence. 39. Creativity thrives on honesty. Honesty isn't just a value, it's a creative portal. When you dare to tell the truth, especially the small personal truths, your work breathes. You shift from performance to presence, from impressing to expressing. Honest art may feel raw, but that rawness is what makes it real. And real is what resonates. The more truthful your work, the more powerful your voice becomes. So if your creativity has felt quiet, slow, or lost, consider this your invitation to return. You don't need permission, you just need to begin. And you don't have to do it all at once. Just one page, one walk, one date with yourself at a time. Drop your favorite lesson in the comments and let me know which one that you'll try out this week. Smart lessons from great books for great minds. If you enjoyed this episode, like, subscribe, turn on notifications, and keep feeding your brain, one book at a time, right here on Brain Book Bites.